when they built it, when they first started Lewis Motors, of all places for it to have started, it was at an old livery stable. Where the Gaston, right there where the Gaston County Department of Social Services and the courthouse. It was on the corner of Marietta Street and one street over from Airline.
So the Long Avenue?
Yeah, probably Long Avenue.
Was that?
It used to be a great old big livery stable.
Craig Wilson? Was it Craig Wilson?
Well, Craig and Wilson had founded that livery stable, and they also had a building on Main Street in Gastonia, which was on the corner of Marietta Street and Main Street, and it was a carriage building and all that kind of stuff. And the livery stable was over about a block and a half across the railroad from it. And that was Mama's daddy, along with the Craig fellow. They're the two that owned it.
But that's where Lewis Motors started.
But Lewis Motors didn't have anything to do with Craig and Wilson, except that when Lewis Motors started, they opened it up in that old livery, that building where the livery stable was. We used to go over there when I was a little boy though, and they had the part that was a barn had maybe 6 places that were probably maybe 30 or 40 feet wide and maybe 100 feet long, and they would bring horses or mules or whatever in there, and they would tie them to, they had hay lofts and feed troughs along the side, and they'd tie them up there, and they would sell them out of there. But, you know, there was, of course, when I was old enough to go up there, it wasn't like it was during the Craig and Wilson time, but they had leased it to a horse trader, and they went to Tennessee and all kinds of places, and they would buy mules and horses and bring them back up there, not by the hundreds of thousands, but they would, you know, maybe a truckload or two.
Yeah.
And they would then sell them to people who would come up and shop for them. But sometimes when they had some that were rideable, they'd let us ride in those places, just bareback with an old rope halter on the horse or the mule. Most time it was a mule that had a backbone, real sharp.
Sharp as a razor.
Yeah. That's fun.
But but back up. Tell him about the horse that you bought and kept in the basement on Morris Street.
Well, I ended up maybe towards the end of World War II. Mama let me buy a horse up there, and I brought it home. I had it, you may have heard some wild tales about it in the basement, but it was rare that it ever went in the basement. But I used to, there was some furniture down there, and I cut grass and put it in the drawers, in the chest of drawers, and let it cure out some. But I tied the horse out in the back where the garden was, and he was lucky when he got fed real good, because I didn't know much, but you know, they made sure that I fed him right. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know much about buying a horse.
Didn't he die?
What'd you do with the horse?
I sold him, but I think I bought him for like $25, and the horse had cancer. He had, well, I say he had a cancer. He had a saddle sore on his back. Well, I didn't ever ride with, I never did have a saddle to ride him anyway. We always rode bareback. But he had a spot on his back that was kind of sore, and I sold him to somebody over in Stanley. And he saw me, oh gosh, a year or so later, and said the horse had died. Said he had the vet out there, and the vet told him the horse had cancer.
The question is, how much did you sell the horse for?
I think I sold him for about $25.
Oh, okay.